What's up, everybody? It is Casey with Two Worlds Podcast, and with me, as always, is the llamas to my Carl. It's Jake. How you doing, buddy?
Great. Is that an Aqua Teen reference?
It's a little show from our youth called Jimmy Neutron. Carl was obsessed with the llamas, very
Oh,
much as I'm obsessed with you.
man, you are just smooth as butter.
I mean, I try. I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm chunky as peanut butter, but whatever.
Well, you're my little husky boy.
Oh, thanks, man.
Anyway, uh, let's get into some news. There's actually so much this week.
I know. Whatever the opposite of a slow news day. That's what this week was. Um, so first thing, I'm excited about this. I kind of mentioned earlier, like about this thing called Godzilla Singular Point. It's an anime. It's coming to Netflix. It's already out in Japan. I'm doing like the most to try to avoid spoilers. It's actually going to be released June 24th, 20 days after my birthday. They got my birthday wrong. It's fine, Netflix, but it's going to be out in America and everywhere else. I'm excited.
Sweet.
That's it. That's all I gotta say. Just
Oh,
sweet.
well, I don't know. I kind of thought maybe you normally talk about Godzilla a lot. So,
Well, no, I mean it's just I know a lot of like there's little spoilers that I know about, and it's like it makes me mad that I follow all these different kaiju things out there, but you know,
yeah.
it is what it is.
Well, I hope it's good, man.
Me too, buddy.
All right. So, the series everyone asked for, Winter Guard, is getting a mini this August by writer Ryan Cady and artist. Did I don't know if it's supposed to say Jam or if I misspelled Jim. Basil Dua. So if you love Winter Guard like we all do, then check out that mini series.
That's gonna be my jam for sure. All right, so Jessica Cruz is going to get her own book. That's the exciting part of it. It's gonna be a young adult series that it's basically another one of those ones where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna use the character's name, but we're not gonna use the actual character. When I was reading it, because I saw this, I was all excited. I'm gonna I have the characters up here. It's Lilian Rivera and artist Steph C. They reimagined one of DC's greatest Green Lanterns, Jessica Cruz, to tell a story about immigration, family, and overcoming fear to inspire hope. And it's like you could just tell that story without reimagining Jessica Cruz. You could even use Jessica Cruz to tell that story, but why reimagine her? She's a pretty new character.
My problem with that too is like, okay, say they love this young adult book and then they go to read her in the comics. She's gonna be nothing like what they just read.
Yeah, and then I also read, and that, by the way, that was from Amazon, that little description. But then I also read, like, in an interview, the person was like, "Yeah, we're making this Green Lantern book more grounded." It's like, oh boy, the thing with the magical alien space ring's gonna become more grounded. That's exactly what you want from this.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I was excited until I read about it. Then I was like, oof. But
Well,
at
I
the same
think
time,
that's
we're
go ahead.
grown men complaining about young adult novels, so it's like,
Well, I think I have a right to complain of the two of us because if
yeah.
someone comes in and is like, "Hey, I read this and I want more. What else should I read?" I'll be like, "Well, it's not going to be it's not going to be what you want."
I mean, if
And
I were you, I'd just point them in the direction of the of that other. It was like I think it was another young adult one, but it was like the kid Green Lantern that was in the that DC Chinese Celebration one, because
yeah.
they had their own like mini young adult novel too. That'd be the only thing I could think of to point them in.
Speaking of these, I got a poster at the shop this week for the Poison Ivy one that's coming out, the whatever it's called,
Yeah.
Thorns. And like Poison Ivy is like kissing this other lady on it. That's
Hmm.
like, what about all the like Harley stuff? I mean, couldn't they use that? Or I don't know. It's just like conflicting with what
Yeah.
they've got going on in the normal stuff.
Yeah.
Because like they're building up something with Harley, and Harley still clearly cares about her, at least in the Batman title. And then, this book comes out and it's about Ivy and her other girlfriend.
I mean, maybe I mean, I 100% think that that book is going to be like, oh, it's her, when she was still, because like it's a young adult book. So it's like when she was a, regular human, this was the girl that, and then she turned into this green thing. And then, oh, wait, turns out they still love each other, that type of stuff. And if
Right.
I just spoiled that book, I'm sorry.
Spoiler alert, Casey wrote that book under a
Yeah.
pen name.
My pen name, if I could pull it up, I'd say it really quick. But
Anywho, one that I saw a little bit ago today. So Penguin Random House is actually going to offer comic supplies, in the form of bags and boards and boxes, which I think is fine, I guess, if you don't have like a local place that does those things. But I probably like, unless their prices are just insane, I'll just stick to like the local place that I use because I like to support them. But
yeah,
anyway, that was announced today. So
that's cool. Like, yeah, I mean, you're already wearing the Penguins hat, so you're already all in on the Penguin Random House, I can tell.
yeah,
But but it's like I could very well see them just since they are, basically like Walmart levels, like as far as being like bigger, they could easily price gouge those other people, which would be, probably too bad.
right.
So this is like one of those things where I got really excited and then less excited and then even less excited about as it went, as the more I heard about it. But a new Batman animated series came out. It's coming out. It's going to be with Bruce Timm producing it along with Matt Reeves and J.J. Abrams. It's going to be on HBO Max, and it's like when I first heard this, like, get J.J. Abrams out of stuff. But then, like, someone in the comments are like, and for just so you know, for those that are excited about Bruce Timm, he also was a producer on The Killing Joke, and I didn't watch that one. But when you have a comic book movie that has Barbara Gordon having sex with Batman on a rooftop, it's not good. So I mean, you have that and J.J. Abrams together.
But see, J.J. Abrams is a producer on like a lot of upcoming DC stuff. I think he's just throwing money at it. I don't think he's like creatively involved.
Well, he's signed a big production deal with Warner Brothers, so they're just putting him in different stuff, and it's like I bet you he's creatively involved because he seems like the type of person that would want to at least like, oh well, guys, listen to me, and it's like we shouldn't listen to him. No one should. He's terrible.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out as things happen what he's involved
Yeah.
in, but I don't know. Let's see. Speaking of things I'm not excited for, um, the next Batman is getting yet another new series from John Ridley. It's called I Am Batman. And, John Ridley won Blandest Comic Award of 2020. He's pushing hard for 2021, so I think he can probably do it again. Back-to-back champ there. It's like Shang-Chi. We've got 3 freaking series for this character in the same year. Just
Yeah. Okay. So this is basically they're doing the Marvel way then, right? It's not like
yeah,
he's getting 2 separate titles.
correct.
Oh, okay. Okay. When you first said he's getting another book, I'm like, oh crap. They're just giving John Ridley 2 books now.
No, that would be insane, but I still
Yeah.
think it's mildly insane.
I mean, it kind of is, but I really do think they're just looking at what Marvel's doing and they're going, yeah, 6 issues or however many, that's enough. And then we can just title it something slightly different, get a new number 1 out of it, and keep going that way.
Well, I don't want DC to go the Marvel way.
Yeah, but the one hope And this is the one minor hope that I have for it is like at least this way they can take bigger risks on. I mean, not Batman characters, but I mean like we would before we wouldn't have gotten to and we've been pronouncing his name wrong this whole time. Shang-Chi series.
Oh,
Because like we wouldn't have been getting that back in the day when they were just trying to do one whole long series because after the first one failed, they wouldn't renumber it. You know what I mean? So like I get where it's really annoying because it is, but at the same time, at least like these B and D tier, D to B tier characters can still get books. And the reason why I know Shang-Chi's name is because Men's Health did a thing where it worked out with the lead actor from the movie. And he's like, yeah, I'm, like Brian, and I play Shang-Chi in the upcoming Shang-Chi movie. And I'm like, I've been wrong for my whole life that I've known this character.
I'm probably just gonna keep saying Shang-Chi because it's
enough.
too ingrained in my brain
Yeah.
at this point. I'll do it without thinking. But the difference is Shang-Chi books are good.
Yeah.
And
no, I mean
the I Am Batman ones haven't been bad. They're just not good.
I know. I'm just saying like the long run, like this is a way that we could get, like some of the like a Zatanna series again by doing this type of thing. That's all I'm saying. Where before it's just like it would get canceled and then they would just drop everything they're doing. Like at least this way now they're like, okay, we can just say we're done after 6 issues, wait 3 months, and then bring it back.
Right.
So I was talking about the Batman series. When that was announced, they also announced a new Superman cartoon series called My Adventures with Superman, set to air on Cartoon Network and HBO Max, and it's going to be starring Jack Quaid. It looked like they are going, like they got a black dude to be Jimmy and an Asian chick to be Lois. And again, I don't like Jack Quaid as Superman. It's going to be weird. It doesn't look like something I'm gonna be too excited to watch, but we'll see.
I really don't have any. I didn't see anything on this, so until I see like a trailer or something, I have no input.
Yeah, I just saw the one art, and then like people were. It was funny because it's like people that don't know comics or like the the outrage that the comic book community has over stuff were like getting mad that people were mad that Jimmy Olsen was black again, and then they're like, look at this, and they had like all these different actors that played Jimmy Olsen, including Zack Snyder's Jimmy Olsen. Like, you know which one people are getting mad about? It's the black one. It's like, well, actually, if you remember right, myself included, I'm still salty over Jimmy Olsen and Superman versus Batman. Like, I'm actually gonna say I like Zack Snyder now. I want to smack him for that one. So, so it's like, yeah, you don't know. You're just trying to make this into a race thing, person that's talking on the internet.
Yeah, that is silly. I don't know. Is it going to be one of those things where like, well, Jimmy was a black guy in the Supergirl show, so now like live action going forward, he's gonna be sort of thing, or
He might be like, I don't know. I think it's. I'm gonna say this. I think it's kind of weird that they're making Jimmy black, but they're not giving him like a bigger role. Like if you want to make Jimmy black, fine, but make him as weird as he is in the comics, so it's at least fun. Like just making him like, oh gosh, Superman, like that.
right?
Like
because the one in Supergirl was just this like big hunk of a guy who's like, like not a goofball in any way.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's just not Jimmy.
Yeah.
He's
So,
James. He's James Olsen. That's what they called him. It's like, come on.
Jeez. Like, yeah, you need Jimmy to be like a super dork. And then I also I'll be honest, I want a Jimmy Olsen animated TV show that's very much like the stuff I've seen online. I've not read a lot of the old Jack Kirby and then the Matt Fraction run. I want that, the Superman's pal, like crazy, like the levels of insane TV, like animated TV show. That
the DN alien.
Yeah, do you remember back when Cartoon Network was doing those shorts and it had like Animal Man and all that type of stuff?
Those
If
were
they did,
fun.
yeah, if they did that, like just a Jimmy Olsen type thing like that, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So a not fun thing for shop owners, Diamond has cut Marvel retail discounts, and that's going to start in October. We kind of saw it coming, but it's still going to suck, and it really doesn't help any shops stick around at Diamond, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
When you first wrote that in the notes, I read it as, oh, they're cutting it even more, like they're making their discounts even better. So I was like, well, this might make Jake stick with Diamond, even though they've been terrible.
oh
But
no,
then,
nothing could do that
yeah,
unless it was free.
yeah. So I was like, oh, this would be interesting to hear his opinion on it. But then when you said they're just getting rid of him, like, do they know how business works? Like, do they
Right.
think they're good?
I think they're just the next thing we hear about Diamond is that they're done. Like,
Yeah.
but anyway.
Okay, so while on the animation wagon, an Injustice animated series is now in the works. There's no release date, but they're going to be basing it off of the games and off the comics. So it's going to be kind of something in between, which I think just kind of like they say that, but I think it just means they're going to be doing their own thing, to be honest. But it should be cool.
Yeah, I whenever I first saw the article, I didn't see the animated part. I was like, they're doing a live action Injustice, but I think it works better as an animated film.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be hilarious if that's how they're like, yeah, this is how we are going to be using Henry Cavill from now on, just by making him the worst version of Superman.
Oh gosh. A small thing I just wanted to mention for this week, Berserk creator Kentaro Miura had passed away, which is sad. I watched Berserk back in college in like a weekend, and it scarred me. I had to like sit in a cold shower and think about life after finishing that show. It was like it really messed me up. But you know, anybody that's even like heard of anime pretty much knows Berserk, at least in name. So it was kind of a big deal that Kentaro passed away. So rest in peace.
I remember I had one DVD of that show, and I think I watched it like maybe sophomore year of high school. And I was like, this is awesome. And then I've read some of the other stuff that happens, and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't keep up with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah. So the DC's round robin has finished, or not finished, but it's in the last round, and it's set up between Robins, surprising no one, and Suicide Squad 7, really surprising no one. So I have a feeling Robins is gonna win, but we'll see.
I think so too. But as we've mentioned, several of these will win in the end by getting made. So
I really think all of them will in some way or another,
yeah. All right. There's going to be a new Defenders miniseries by Casey's favorite writer, Al Ewing, and art will be done by Javier Rodriguez, and that's coming out in August. I don't know what the
Boy,
team is, but yeah.
I bet you it'll have a bunch of characters that will make people go, "Oh wow, he's so brave putting them in there," but then he actually won't develop them because he's not a good writer. I'm still salty. So Advil El Arbe and Bilal Falah. I'm probably butchering their names, and I apologize. But they're the directing duo behind Bad Boys for Life. Have been hired to direct a new Batgirl movie. I really don't. I think this is the only thing I've heard about this movie, but I heard that the Bad Boys for Life was a lot of fun, and I think a Batgirl movie just needs to be a lot of fun. So let's hope it's gonna be good.
While you were saying that, I was trying to look up if the team had been announced for that Defenders book, and it has. The team will be Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, Red She-Hulk, the Masked Raider, and Cloud.
Cool.
Yep.
I mean, that's a book that I would have checked out if anyone else was writing it. Hallie keeps
Yeah,
kicking my comics.
the Masked Raider looks really cool. Like the art looks great, but you know,
Yeah. I don't
whatever.
think I've ever even seen the Masked Raider before.
Yeah. I mean, it's a character that you would like if you Google it. You'd be like, yeah, I'd read
Yeah.
a book about that character just on looks alone.
Yeah.
Um, all right. There's lots of new comics announced for August. And so we're going to get a new Darkhawk series, but a new character is taking up the mantle. That's going to be written by Kyle Higgins, and the art will be done by Juan and Ramirez, and that is also coming out in August. So if you like Darkhawk or have never read Darkhawk, this is probably a pretty good place to jump on if you want to check it out, being a new
Yeah.
character and all that.
Speaking of comic books coming out in August, J.H. Williams and W. Hayden Blackman, they worked on Batwoman together, the new 52 Batwoman that everyone that read it loved. I think Jake even read it and he loved it. They are going to launch Echo Lands, a series this August. It's a image book. That's all I really know, but people are tweeting about it, excited. I didn't read Batwoman because my comic book shop was sold out like the first 3 issues when that was coming out. So I was just like, well, that's not a thing I'm going to get to read. But yeah, that should be pretty exciting.
It is cool to see them working together again.
Yeah,
And
J.H. Williams is amazing.
yeah, and if anything, it's going to be a gorgeous book.
Yeah.
So, okay, my last bit of news. So, Dungeons and Dragons is celebrating one of their big franchise characters, Drizzt Do'Urden, all summer long. So far, what we know is that there's going to be a new animated short written by the character's creator, R.A. Salvatore. He did a huge line of Drizzt novels. And so he's going to be writing that. And then the short will be narrated by Benedict Cumberbatch. It's going to be called Sleep Sound. And more will be announced later on that whole summer event. So pretty exciting stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, being narrated by a big name like that is cool. Being written by the creator is cool. And any D&D like animated short, sign me up.
Yeah, I will say it's disappointing it's not Joe Manganiello. I bet you he's probably like yelling at his manager that he didn't get the job.
Well, I think Wizards of the Coast is trying to make this like a pretty big summer thing, so he could probably be a part of something
He
else that's coming up.
he more than likely is because he talks like he goes on like dang Jimmy Kimmel and whatnot, and he'll just be talking about that crap. So
Yeah.
yeah, I bet he will be then. I didn't know how big of a deal this was gonna be.
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of sexy men, Henry Cavill is set to star in the Highlander remake, which that should be pretty awesome. I remember watching Highlander when I was a kid, and even watching the TV show when I was a kid. So it should be pretty cool. There can only be one. We'll see how it goes.
Absolutely.
Titans season 3. It's got a release date. It's going to be out in August on HBO Max. How excited are you on a scale of 1 to 3?
Well, gosh, I guess a 3.
That's what I like to hear.
I am excited.
Dwayne The Rock of Shazam Johnson has been cast as the voice of Crypto the Superdog in DC's upcoming animated film DC League of Super Pets. And so I think that's going to be pretty hilarious. And I'm really excited for his men's health, thing on his workout to get ready to become the super dog. He'll be like, yeah, this is my craziest role yet. I had to wake up and just sit in a cage all day, and then I did 500 push-ups or whatever stupid crap he does. And it's like I was clanging and banging and whatever. So this is really exciting for me, probably just me, but Venture Brothers, it got canceled, but now they're actually making a movie. It's going to be on HBO Max. It's probably not going to come out for like another 5 years with how that show animates and stuff. But yeah, it's actually coming out, so that's going to be really cool. And along with it, our Metalocalypse and Aqua Teen Hunger Force are both getting movies too. Those two I'm not that excited about. The last Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie, I was like, man, after the first 15 minutes, I was like, this should be over already. So that was pretty rough. I've never watched Metalocalypse, but I know the fans are like super crazy about it. So that should be pretty exciting. Then we also got the first look at Jordan Fisher as Impulse. I'm just gonna like, because he's like supposed to be an action shot, and it looked bad. Like, and I 100% am blaming the picture though. I do think in action it's gonna look a lot better, but like the picture, he kind of looked like he was in big head mode. Like they kind of like, it looked like they tried to like, Photoshop it some to like make it look cooler, but it just made it look worse. Did you happen to see it?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I saw it, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, like it doesn't look good, but I do think it's gonna look better in the actual show. Like they were trying to make it like this, like, and so I always complain when like they do, oh, it's just a guy, them standing there with a white background. They actually gave it like, an action pose, but it looks real badly photoshopped and does not look good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree with you that it will look better in the show, but I don't think really any of the Flash TV show like promotional photos have looked good, because all of them are trying to do the run thing, and
Yeah.
you just can't make that look great.
Yeah, no, that's 100% a fact, man. Then my last bit of news, Michael Walsh. I had talked about how he tweeted out like an image black cover. It had Joshua Williamson's name on it. Well, now he tweeted out again, but this time it's got even more names. So it's Williamson, Ram V, Matthew Rosenberg, and Vita Aali. And everyone is thinking it's going to be more Silvercoin, which that's a killer lineup. And I missed out on the first Silvercoin, not on purpose. So hopefully I don't miss out on this one.
So
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let me know.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try to remember. Yeah. So like if that is like, I'll have to try hard to remember that it was,
Yeah, because I don't really know
Zdarsky.
what this book is. I know that Zdarsky writes it, but is it short stories or?
Yeah, the way I understood it, it's like a horror type anthology that like the only thing that really connects them is the same coin. And so like one of them, they're like rock and roll people like find the coin, and then it's like a monkey. Like it sounds like it's kind of like a monkey's paw type of thing, where like they make a wish, their wish comes true, but it's not that. Like it's not like, that's how I understood it. I could be butchering it because I've not read it, but
right.
It sounded neat.
Right on. All right. Well, I think that finally brings us to the end of the news this week. So we're going to go ahead and take our ad break, and then we'll come back and talk about, at least I have a massive stack of comics.
Yeah, I got an okay size one too.
All right. We will be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to our ad. Casey, let's hear
doing some product placement.
Yeah, you were. You're taking a drink. I'll tell you the comics I read. So I've got Sonic the Hedgehog 39, Silk 2 from like several weeks ago, Star Wars number 13, Black Knight Curse of the Ebony Blade number 3, Legends of the Dark Knight number 1, Shang-Chi number 1, Wolverine number 12, Mighty Valkyries number 2, Catwoman 31, and Wonder Girl number 1.
Okay. And I have Ultraman number 3, Flash 770, Daredevil 30, Fantastic Four Life Story number 1, the 60s, Runaways 36, Ultramega number 3, Shang-Chi versus the Marvel Universe number 1, Godzilla Monsters and Protectors number 2, Wolverine number 12, Wonder Girl number 1, and Catwoman number 31.
Okay. So we have 4 of the same.
Yep.
Cool. All right. I'll go first. I'll just touch briefly on Sonic number 39. This was written by Evan Stanley, and the art was done by Evan Stanley and Bricardi Curry. So, Sonic, Tails, and Amy are still trapped in Robotnik's crazy robot experiment maze thing. And Robotnik is just like combining past like mini boss robots together and then like throwing them at the trio and like controlling them via like VR headset to try and bring them down. And meanwhile, Tangle, or maybe yeah, it's Tangle. Tangle and the new chick whose name I'm totally blanking on, who looks like a wood puppet. They find this room full of portals, and Tangle is like, I'm just going to try one of these and go through and rescue Sonic, Tails, and Amy. So this issue was like almost all action, which is totally fine if you like cartoony action of Sonic the Hedgehog. So it was really cool. I liked it. Probably give it like a 7. Nothing to write home about,
Nice.
but tons of fun.
Nice, dude. Yeah, like, and yeah, you said the art's more cartoony. Like the cover art does look very Sonic-y though. Like, is that
Yeah, like it's, I mean, that's the, well, you can't even see it. That's the interior as well,
yes?
which is what you want.
Yeah, that's not too bad then.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna show. I every time I have to show off these covers because they're so dang cool. But my first book is Godzilla, Monsters and Protectors. I get hooked up with the movie covers, and I love this cover. It's so dang good. It's honestly my favorite part of this book. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, you have the kid doing his YouTube show where it's like you and me should really take notes because he's got it all down pretty well. But yeah, like there's different little things that kind of annoyed me just as a Godzilla fan, like the 2 little twins. Like they're riding a dang bird. They don't need to ride a bird. They have little Mothras that they ride around on. Like, get out of here with that. But yeah, it kind of gives Godzilla's motivations why he's wanting to, blow everything up. But the next issue is gonna have Biolante in it. It's looking like, which should be pretty awesome. Biolante is one of the coolest looking monsters from the Heisei era. Just like that's just a fact. So it's gonna be really cool to see her. And yeah, like it's perfectly fine. Like Jake said, nothing I'd write home about it either. And that's really disappointing to me since it's a Godzilla book. But at least I have a Godzilla book now, and that's all I really need. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. But it is what it is. It's fine.
Yeah, like if I didn't have such a massive amount, I probably would have read it. But it just didn't make the cut this time.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. I won't dwell too long on Silk number 2 because it is a few weeks old. I just want to say that I really like it. I never thought I'd like a Silk book this much, but it's tons of fun. I'm still invested in what's going on with this drug stuff, and I like Silk at her job and while she's a hero, and the art's great. So this was like a 9 for me.
Yeah,
and just good stuff. I hope Diamond sends me issue number 3 from last week soon.
Yeah, dude, I really love that issue too. I thought it was great. I'm like you. It's same exact thing you said. And it's funny. Like it's still, it's actually, it's not like, it's not so much Silk herself is funny. It's just the different stuff that's going on was just really funny. And she's likable. That's one thing that I always like, which sounds stupid now I'm saying out loud. That's the one thing I like in my characters is them being likable. Okay, so next up is the Trials of Ultraman number 3. And yeah, this book is like just, it's like there's nothing that you can really go like, oh man, this is bad. But there's also nothing you can be like, oh man, this is great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the one thing that I am gonna like, it would be really cool in a movie if this happened, and it always is when it happens in a movie. Like they're about to do this big, there's a monster warning going off, and they're gonna go fight it, and then it cuts to this person like with a camera strapped to their head, and they're all talking, and then they see Ultraman, and Ultraman saves them. Like it's all from their perspective. That works in a movie. It works less well in a comic. When this comic, you're not really buying it, even though they seem to think that you were buying it for them to talk. We're not. We're buying it for the fights, and so that was a major letdown. And by the way, I did not say who wrote and drew Godzilla or this. So I'm going to do that really quick. For Godzilla Monsters and Protectors, it was written by Eric Burnham with Dan Schuing on the art. And then The Trials of Ultraman was written by Kyle Higgins and Matt Groom with Francisco Mana on the pencils. And yeah, so it's a little, like I said, a little disappointing that they had this fight, but they're like more worried about like, nah, you're here for our storytelling. And no one is, at least in my opinion, because it's the storytelling is not that good. So that is a letdown. The art is still really good, and the storytelling is fine. So yeah, it's like just a C+ book. So I'm giving it a 7.
Right on. Okay, so I will do Star Wars number 13, which is part of the War of the Bounty Hunters. This was written by Charles Soule and art by Ramon Rosales. And this was cool. It actually makes me want to read like the normal Star Wars title. But Luke is just training, and they come across this Wookiee that Chewbacca knows because this Wookiee claims to know where Han is. So they go to Nar Shaddaa, which is where Boba Fett fought in that like arena thing. So it ties in there. They run into the Kanji gang, and the people are like, the Kanji gang members are like, oh, well, you have a lightsaber, but that doesn't mean you're a Jedi, so let's get him. And then Luke does Luke things and proves that he is a Jedi, which is always super fun to watch.
What's he do? Get his hand cut off?
No, he kicks their butts.
He kisses his sister.
Yeah. Okay. Will you stop? Anyway, shenanigans happens, and then some like unknown party claims to be in possession of Han Solo, and then to be continued in the next issue. But it was crazy fun. The writing's really good. Charles Soule, of course, does a good job with these characters and in general, and I really liked it. So a good 8 out of 10 for me.
Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna move my mic, see if it sounds better. Next up is Flash 770, and then on this one we have Jeremy Adams writing with Jack Herbert, Brandon Peterson, and Kevin McGuire as art. And I'm not gonna lie, this one was a blast. Like this first issue of this series sucked. Like it was bad. Not gonna lie, but y'all should keep reading this because it's so good. Yeah, this time, since Barry's basically do quantum leaping into different people's bodies, this time he hops into Jay Garrick's body during World War II, and him and the Golden Age Ray, which I didn't know anything about Golden Age Ray. Didn't even know he was a thing. Maybe he's not, and they just made him up for this issue. I don't know. But they are going into secret mission to take back the Spear of Destiny, the spear that pierced Christ's side. It's going to make, whoever has it can win the war and all that other stuff. And so they get captured, though, because there's a Nazi that can, like, basically shut down people's powers. So Ray and Garrick are captured, and then Wally takes over Garrick's body, and Hitler then gets, like, Speed Force powers, too, which that's one thing that I thought was cool. It's like, so many times with like Marvel related stuff, they'll be like anymore. Not like back in the day they did all the time, but like they'll be like, we want to kind of stay away from the Nazis, which is like fair enough. But this one's like, no, we're gonna have Hitler be one of the main bad guys in this, which I'm like, that's great. And so yeah, like they come up with a way, they beat him, and spoiler alert, Hitler explodes. Which it's like I'm kind of expecting Rip Hunter to come after Wally for messing up the timeline, because there's no way Hitler should explode from the Speed Force. But like other than that, like it's super good, and it was kind of funny because like there's a part when like the guy's trying to take over, like stop, like they're taking over the Ray and Wally's body with the spear, but only took over his conscious body. So Wally, since he was in control, lost conscious, and then so Jay took back over. He's like, Hitler, and he runs up and punches him in the face. And so yeah, it's a blast. And the last page, I'm just gonna show it because it's too fun, and I'm excited for it. He gets into the whatever the Legion of Doom, but it's like the old school Legion of Doom as Zoom, and that's how it ends. Which it's like, I don't know how he's going through the Speed Force with Zoom, since Zoom uses the reverse Speed Force. Didn't you read Joshua Williamson's run? Come on. But I'm excited for it, and I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. Like when I read it, I'm like, I just said out loud, this is fun. I like that.
I'm glad it was like that for you, man. That sounds like a lot of fun. All right, so Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade, number 3. This was written by Simon Spurrier, and the art was done by Sergio Davila. This was honestly probably the best issue of the series. It still wasn't good though. Let's see, Elsa Bloodstone is in this, and she's just like, she's got the pedal to the metal on the angst meter and just never lets up. And like it's fine for a bit, but it's like, okay, she'll lighten up at some point. She doesn't. It's just constant, and it just gets old by like page 3. But anyway, Dane and Elsa and this other lady that's been around and was like interviewing him in the first issue are trying to gather all the Ebony artifacts.
What about the ivory ones?
They're not concerned with those yet.
Oh, okay.
So Dane's got the sword, and Mordred has the dagger and the shield. And in this issue, spoiler alert, Dane gets the chalice. And there's also a flashback of one of Dane's ancestors fighting Thor, and beats Thor, which I'm not cool with, because he's like, Spurrier is just making up power levels for Black Knights in this book that don't make any sense. Just like, oh, the more he gets hit, the stronger he gets. And then it's like, well, the more angry and sad he is, the stronger he gets. And it's just whatever it needs him to be in this issue is how strong he is. And apparently this time it's to kick the crap out of Thor.
Did he cut his hair, make him not look like such a hippie?
No, he just like hits Mjolnir with the sword and then throws Thor back into a pile of rubble and knocks him out.
Yeah, sword beats hammer. Having ever played the hammer,
the classic
sword,
game,
hammer, sword, paper,
yeah. So anyway, yeah. So Dane is fighting Mordred, and then he gets the chalice. So now each party has 2 of the 4 ebony artifacts. So I guess that makes them uneven ground according to the rules of this issue. And then the chalice fills up with some mysterious liquid, and it's supposed to give Dane knowledge on whatever he wants to know. So the last issue is him about to take a drink, and Mordred's like, if he drinks this, the knowledge will curse him or something like that. It's like, well, how many dang curses are in this series? Because
how many times have you cursed about this series?
Oh, off the podcast, you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, 4 out of 10. It's the best
Yeah.
one because the art's good and they're like the whole thing is like a big fight. But when it comes to the dialogue and the actual reasoning behind what's going on, it absolutely sucks.
Yeah. All right. So on something that doesn't suck, Daredevil 30 by Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto and Mike Hawthorne on the art. And that's the one downside to this book. Cicchetto's art is fantastic, and it's like some of the best art in comics right now. So when I say this about Mike Hawthorne, I don't mean like any disrespect. If this was just Mike Hawthorne's art, I'd be like, yeah, this is good. But going from Cicchetto to Hawthorne, it's like it's just so drastic that it, like they don't have similar enough styles, and you're like, oh, this just seems off. And it's not like I said, not a knock on Hawthorne. He's still good, but Cicchetto is like goat levels good in my opinion. So it's just it doesn't quite match up, but it had one of my favorite things I've read in a comic in a long time, and I'm just gonna find and quote it. So Elektra's going into this nightclub, and the guy goes, she's like, let us in. And the guy goes, and why would we do that, Daredevil? And she goes, because my name is Elektra Nachos and I own this building. It's like, that's true. Shouldn't your secret identity, like, shouldn't that say secret? And she goes, why? Neither of my identities have anything to fear. They create fear. It's like, dang, and that is the most BA line I've read in a comic in so long. It was awesome. But yeah, the series as a whole, you have, Matt still being like, I need to be in prison because I was a bad guy. And they're trying to cut him a deal. There's some stuff going on with Bullseye and Kingpin. And then this stuff with Elektra and how she's like trying not to kill people to be a, good person. She's also trying to teach this kid how to be a hero. And it's like she's very much falling into like Matt Murdock-y type things while trying to help this kid. And people can talk about Spider-Man being bad luck Peter and all this stuff. He's got nothing on the bad luck department, compared to Daredevil. And it doesn't really matter if it's Elektra or Matt, it turns out. They just have bad luck. And yeah, like I said, the only downside is the art, because it is just jarring jumping between the two. So for that, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Otherwise, it would be a 10. If like it was just consistent art, like even if it was Hawthorne's art throughout, it would have been perfect. It's just you can't just go from Cicchetto to someone else. It's just his stuff is too good.
I hear you there, man. So did he just do like half of it, or was it flashbacks, or?
It's just kind of like, I think it was just the club scene really, because it's like you go through, like he did the cover, and then like, yeah, it's like he does some of this stuff, and then it'll go back to Hawthorne randomly. So it's just kind of, yeah, like, it was just weird. It was just kind of weird how they went about that.
Okay. All right. Legends of the Dark Knight #1. I would love to tell you who wrote and drew it.
My dog's snoring, so I don't know if you can hear that or not.
I cannot. All right. It was written, and drawn by Derek Robertson. So I didn't really care for this, honestly. It was fine, but there's like some crazy new gas that's very, very deadly to people in town. And some guy wearing a gas mask is like having this bidding war with some of Gotham's top criminals that also use gas. So they show Mr. Freeze, Joker, Scarecrow, and then they show Penguin and Riddler. Penguin is shooting some like gas out of the end of his umbrella, and Riddler is just like opening a box with some gas coming out. And I'm like, when I think of Gotham bad guys that use gas, Riddler and Penguin do not come to mind.
See, Penguin I do get, because like at least when I remember as a kid, he always had, like in the cartoon, he'd have the umbrella that would shoot gas every once in a while. I think it'd be really funny if like they started getting like weirder. Like it was like Kite Man was next, and he's like got this kite that's got gas, and then like trying to think of like some other ones that don't make any sense.
Crazy Quilt.
Yeah, Crazy Quilt. Like Sportsmaster. It's like what? He's got like a badminton birdie, and he hits it, and it's just gas everywhere.
Top criminal here. So anyway, all that happens. Joker gasses some people, and Batman drops in and tries to stop him. Joker escapes on a helicopter. Batman grapples to said helicopter, and then the helicopter goes down into like Gotham Bay. And then it's like to be continued. I guess like Legends of the Dark Knight, they're usually 3-issue arcs, and then like a new creative team takes over. I'm probably not going to read parts 2 and 3 of this one. It's just, I don't know. I mean, this could have been done by literally anyone. It was just like the most basic Batman story I've read in a while.
It sounds 100% like just from the little bit you described, it sounds like something that would be at the Walmart, type of Batman story.
Yep.
Or it's like, oh yeah, we just want to throw in these characters that people know. The story doesn't have to be good. We just want to kind of get people to pick it up at Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if on issue like 4 through 6, it's, like Mark Waid or, someone big, then I'll be like, all right, I'll check out this arc.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like a 5 or a 6.
How funny if the next issue was like, since they had all the characters in this one, if it was just like a deep dive in the psychology of Batman. It's like him just like doing like just like hardcore like solving crimes, like actual crimes, not like the crazy Joker stuff. It's like who murdered this kid's parents, and like he's just doing the detective work and stuff, and that's the whole. You're like, this is such a drastic change.
Well, I will never find out, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so next up is Fantastic Four Life Story 1, the 60s. And so this is by Mark Russell with Sean Izaakse on the art. And so, yeah, you start with them like kind of coming up with their, the whole rocket ship type stuff. And like they don't have a pilot. They're just kind of like they get shut down because basically their ship is not aerodynamic at all, and it's using antimatter to fly. And they're like, we can't test the stuff, so we're just gonna have to ground you. So then he's like, well, we have to figure out a way to do this, And so Johnny's like, oh well, I want to come, otherwise I'll rat you out. So they're like, okay, like yeah, like well, we don't know a pilot. And like Johnny's like, I know a pilot. And so then they get Ben Grimm. Like that was the one thing that really irked me. Is Johnny knew Ben Grimm, and then when Sue was like, how did you know this guy? He's like, I don't know. Like they never say how he knew him, first off. And I hate that, just in the fact in general that it's like it works so much better with Ben being friends with Reed. That's just all there is to it. Like all this other stuff that happens, between them, it just works better with them being friends, with them not being friends to begin with, and just being strangers. It's like his best friend turning him into a giant rock monster versus turning a giant, a stranger into a giant rock monster. It just doesn't work the same. So like that's the only downside to this book. Otherwise, I really loved it. I miss these characters, and I'm glad I ended up reading this because I skipped out on the Spider-Man one, which it's like, boy, if I didn't, I'd be sitting on like $100 right now, just having that. But whatever, this is still really good, and I'd recommend it. And I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10.
All right. I thought about picking it up, but again, like had it been a lighter week, I probably would have.
Yeah, if you still have it at the shop, I'd say check it out.
Right on. Okay, next for me is The Mighty Valkyries #2. This is written by Jason Aaron and Torun Grønbekk, and art is done by Mattea de Ulis. Gosh, I'm so sorry about that.
It's
And
okay. I
then
forgive you.
the Runa stuff is done by Torn Groenbeck with art by Erica D'Urso. And again, I really like this issue, man. It's nice to say. Um, kind of get some background on Mor, which is Loki's grandson. That's the two souls that combine to make the wolf. Um, but man, this all that stuff about Mor in this is just like crazy Norse mythology stuff that I love, and the art that you get is just insane. But anyway, Mor is just like telling his story to Jane, and he's like, "Look, I'm not really like Loki told you I'm a bad guy, but this is my first time being free. Like when I was born, Loki chained me up in a cage and let me see any of the world. So I've never done anything good or bad. I've just existed. So uh, don't believe Loki." So now it's kind of like, who do we believe, Loki or Loki's grandsons, grandchildren, grandchildren? But anyway, meanwhile, Runa breaks that seer out of prison, and I get it says Yarnbjorn, which is her big old axe, is one of three weapons that can break said magical barrier. So she breaks him out, and since he's a seer, he knows which way to go for them to escape. So that happens, and then uh, the issue kind of ends with a surprise character showing up who I wasn't really expecting, Craven. So that's
Ooh,
exciting stuff because big surprise, Craven wants to hunt and kill the big old wolf that's running around New York City, right? It makes
nice.
total sense. Um, but man, I don't know. I don't know if this will show, but how good is that art?
That is
Like,
pretty awesome. Yeah.
I know it's not really showing up, but man, like the whole series is just that good so far, and it's very refreshing. But yeah, I love this. The stuff with Runa, which took place in the middle, I was so like deep in the lore of what's going on with Mor
You
and
wanted
Jane.
more.
I did want more. Like I was so deep in that like having a couple pages of Runa right in the middle kind of took me out of it. So I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10 just for that reason. Uh, Otherwise, it was awesome, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. So
All right. I have two quick questions, and these are like genuine questions. Do you think the stuff with the Valkyrie that's with the seer is going to end up messing with, like those two stories are going to connect, or they're going to be still separate?
I think they will connect because the only reason it cut to Runa is Moore was like, "Well, who are you?" And Jane's like, "I'm a Valkyrie." And he's like, "Okay, well, why isn't the rest of your army of Valkyries here to bring me in?" And Jane's like, "Well, I'm the last one, except for one other." And then it cuts to Runa. So like at some point they have to connect. It's
I
just
gotcha.
who knows when that'll happen.
All right. And then since you mentioned her axe, do you like, because, and then Jane's got that, is it a sword or is it like a dagger that's special?
It's like a mace that can
Oh,
transform
okay.
into anything.
Like, I mean, is it very like, are they like basically Mjolnir light with the Valkyrie weapons and
Yeah, they are. I mean, Jason Aaron is basically saying Yarnbjorn is nearly Mjolnir level. The only difference is Mjolnir houses a cosmic storm, um, but both were forged in Nidavellir by the dwarves, so therefore they're like S tier weapons. Um, Mjolnir is just like S plus tier.
I gotcha. All
Yeah.
right. All right. And for me, the next book is number 36, Runaways, Rainbow Rowell and Andres Ginolette on the art. And yeah, again, I really like this. It's got the It's got a lot of stuff that happened in old school Runaways. Like that's one thing that I always talk about. Rainbow does well. She brings stuff up that happened way in the past and uses it again. So like you get Gert from the future, and she's got some superpowers because when she showed up in the future, spoiler alert, when she died in the earlier series, and future her dies, she was like the best Avenger, and it never made sense because she was a regular person in the comics. So you never really, and like now she's like kind of here, and she's got all these different kind of like little power things going on. She's time traveling, and she's trying to hook up with Chase, and yeah, it was pretty good. Like it's just a fun book, and it's one of those things where it's like there's times where there's books that are like really chatty, and you're like, my God, this writer just loves to hear themselves write, and like that's all this book. Like this book, like when there's action, you're like, oh yeah, they do fight crime. But it's still really good, and so like their dialogue's really good, and I really like it. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Sweet. I've just got the 4 we read together.
Okay, so my last one is Ultramega. I don't know why I did that voice. It's pretty spooky though. But it's Ultramega number 3 by James Herron with Dave Stewart on, I think, just the colors. Yeah, Dave Stewart on the colors. We get a little bit more of the stuff with the monster that killed the Ultramegas, and the mom of that monster, and the kid that got captured last issue, and he's fighting this like gladiatorial thing and whatnot, and it's awesome. Like the fights that happen in it, the art is bonkers. This is not the book that I signed up for though. Whenever I was like, oh, I want to read this, and then I got it. I'm like, it's still really crazy and good, but boy, not what I expected from that first issue, because stuff has just gotten completely different, completely crazy since then, and I'm here for this roller coaster of a ride, and I'm loving it, and I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10.
Nice. Okay, so correct me if you want to do this another way, but I was thinking Wolverine, Shang-Chi, Catwoman, Wonder Girl.
Let's go Marvel, DC, Marvel, so we can do like Wolverine, Catwoman, Shang, Wonder Girl.
Sounds good. All right, Wolverine number 12, which was written by Ben Percy, and the art was done by Scott Eaton. Oh, with also J.P. Mayer and Oren Jr. on a couple of the pages. All right, Casey, what'd you think?
I really love the art. The story is pretty bonkers. All the different stuff that happens. The Forge making her like the girl, basically a vampire armor suit thing was crazy. And Omega Red being in the this Omega Red's just really cool in this. The ending part when they kind of are like sneak up on the vampires and do the, I'm not going to spoil what they do, but when they do that stuff, I thought that seemed a little rushed, but all in all, I thought it was really fun.
I did too. The part, with how Wolverine got there was really confusing. It's almost like they left out a page explaining stuff. So I'm just like, how do we get from here to here? But
yeah,
but overall, it was really cool, and I'm all about this Wolverine fighting vampire stuff. Omega Red, Dracula, the day armor for the vampire. It's all just a crazy fun time, and I'm really glad I started to read this book.
Only thing that would make it better is if this was the 90s, because think about how stupid and crazy fun it would be. Wolverine with a vampire girl fighting vampires in the 90s.
I know. I agree with you. But yeah, it was because of like the rushed ending. I
Yeah.
gotta give it like a 7. Because I had to like read it a couple of times to try and work it together, and I still couldn't. But other than that, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8 because it's like for me, it's just kind of like it's exactly what I expect a book about Wolverine fighting vampires to be. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be, it's just kind of goofy, and it's like, yeah, some of it's pretty out there, like, and it's also kind of weird how it jumps around, but it is what it is. It's Wolverine fighting vampires.
Yep.
I still wish Blade was there though. Like, come on.
I think it's crazy that he's not.
All right,
All
so
right.
next is Catwoman, number 31 by Ram V with Fernando Blanco on the art. And yeah, what'd you think, bud?
I loved it. I like this book a lot.
Yeah, like this is kind of exactly what you want from a Catwoman book, in my opinion. It was just like, oh yeah, I pulled the heist. Here's how I did it. And it was just like every heist movie, but it was awesome. The only
Mhm.
part that I was like really kind of not take I didn't really love too much was the stuff, and it's like just story building, but with the dude that she's gonna be going after, the guy, the guy that's the big bad guy for this arc or whatever, and he's like got his robo girlfriend in his room, like that guy, like the stuff with
Yeah.
him at the end. I'm like, I'm not too interested in this stuff, but other than that, I really really liked it, and it's kind of
Okay,
crazy
so
with.
real quick, I could be crazy, but isn't this the same guy that's doing the magistrate stuff in Batman?
I don't know, like, because the name seems different.
Really? I thought it
I
was some of the
thought
same.
it might be. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm just bad with names, which is a fact. So
Well, either way, it's real cool stuff. Like clearly, uh, Ivy, as she's going by now, she dropped the poison. Was pretty messed up from whatever they did to her. So I'm looking forward to seeing her. I don't know if she is going to get back to normal or if she's just going in a new direction now. But either way, it's all pretty interesting stuff. But I mean, this is just a DC Comics heist movie,
yeah,
and I'll take that any day.
same dude. It's like I said, it was pretty fantastic. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but it was about as close as you can be to perfect without being perfect.
Yeah, and I'm there with you. 9 out of 10. All right.
Okay. If you want, I can take point on this one because I figured you'd want to on Wonder Girl.
Sure, go for it.
So, Shang-Chi versus the Marvel Universe, and this is by Jean Luen Yang and Dyke Ran. And so, yeah, it starts off with like, the flash forward. It's like, oh, we're fighting Spider-Man. And, sister's like, I want to kill him. And then it goes back to his date with the girl from the last series, which I'm glad that they included that because I like that, interaction from the other one. And then, so now he's teaming up with Spider-Man, and they kind of talk about the times where, Shang taught him some kung fu and stuff.
I
And
love that.
yeah, that was great because it's just like it isn't touched on. And then he's like, "Oh, I should practice it more. I just don't." And it's like, "Yeah, well, you should, dummy." And yeah, it's really cool. And next time we're gonna have him fight Captain America. Looks like. What'd you think of this series?
I thought it was great. I wasn't really that familiar with Ruan's art, but man, it's like it really. I thought it was Olivier Coipel, and I had to like uh, check the credits to see that it wasn't him. But man, the art's so good. But
Mm-hmm.
I like the stuff with the root, and how that infects
Yeah,
people and turns them into monsters. I thought that was cool. I like the interaction with Spider-Man, and this just shows how good of a writer Gene is because we love how he writes Batman and Superman. He can
mm-hmm.
write Shang-Chi, he can write Spider-Man. The dude's just a really good writer.
Yeah. I am really interested in seeing how he writes Captain America. Because Captain America's harder to write than I think all those other ones to make him interesting because let's face it, he's kind of boring, and it's just like he has like cool stuff around him that makes him more interesting. So like I'm really interested in seeing how he writes Captain America in the next issue. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really like this issue, and I mean, it's gonna be a 9 for me. Uh, don't have too much to gripe about, but I don't know. It just didn't feel quite like a 10, but I still really loved it.
And I am going to go ahead and give it a 10. I don't know if I just didn't have like high expectations or something, but by the time I was finished, I was like, oh man, I love that. That was great. So,
Nice.
all right. And our last one is Wonder Girl #1. And this was done by Joel Jones and the colors by Jordi Belair. I don't know about you, Casey, but I thought this was an absolute knockout of an issue.
Mm-hmm. That art, like the story itself is good, but my goodness, that art just makes this like if you were like to put the art and the story side by side, you'd be like, this story's terrible compared to that art because that
Right.
art is so amazing.
So we get, let's see, Yara is Yara? Yeah, that's correct,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to go to Brazil because that's where she was born and she wants to take a tour and learn more about it. And then meanwhile, we kind of get to see um, 3 different spots, and that's the Themyscira, Mount Olympus, and then uh, Bana Anna Migdal. I don't know how you pronounce it, but kind of just where all of the uh, different Amazon groups are from. And then obviously Zeus has a part in the Amazon, so they got to show Mount Olympus too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was lots of buildup in this, and then we get to see Yara be a hero and save a couple people from an accident. But man, what really like I was already hooked, but then these last couple pages with the spoiler alert, the siren showing up, it's like I can't wait to see what happens next. Because
Yeah.
looking at that last page, I think it's pretty terrifying. Like I have a
It
pretty big fear of like open bodies of water anyway. So like picturing being in this scenario with this crazy looking siren underneath, like it was genuinely creepy and I can't wait to see what happens next.
and I mean this is like a huge compliment, but this is like that last picture, it gives me big time Jay Lee vibes.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
And
Um,
yeah, but I loved it.
yeah, everything about this was great. If if you guys need a new book to read or just if you've never listened to us before about picking up a book, make it be right now and get this book because it's super cool. It's a great jumping on point. 10 out of 10 for me.
Yep, same here. It's what you want from a first issue. Like even if we hadn't read the future state stuff, we could just you know pick this up and be like, oh okay, this I like this character. She's cool.
Yeah, because literally the only tie into the future state stuff is the airport scene, and that was like 1 page, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, normally first issues are just world building and this is where the story's going, but this was genuinely um, like a good hook. So I loved it. All right, Casey, which books are you excited for next week?
So I'm excited for Batman and Superman, Better Ray Bill, and then TMNT Last Ronin. What about you, buddy?
Um, I'm gonna go Milestone Returns, and then oh, that's your dog's tail.
It is. She's on the bed now. She's like woke up and she's gonna make herself a nice bed. So I'm just gonna show her off
There you
while she
go.
does.
If you want to see podcast dog, there she is.
She's the new co-host.
She is. Anyway, I'm gonna go with Milestone Returns because Casey and I have been hyped for that
Ooh.
for quite some time now. And then I will say Robin. And let's see. The new Witcher series. I didn't care for how the last one ended, but I liked all the rest of it. And it is the same writer, so I have hopes that this one will be good. So here we
I
go.
hope I hope someone comes into the shop and they go to buy that book and they just go, toss a coin to your Witcher, and they just like flip you a whole like Sacagawea coin.
If that happens, I'll know that you sent them in to do
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, he paid us in Sacagawea coins.
it. All right,
All
let's
right.
hear your Fantastic Four.
So it's Fantastic Four time, and I saw this last week, but then I was like, I came up with the other one, so I was like, I'll use it for this week. The DC shooter, like I think he was a sniper. He killed a bunch of people, innocent people, and he's in jail now. But he's getting his own documentary that he gets to narrate from jail. It's a terrible idea, but why don't you give me four supervillains that you would be like, if they were real, you'd be like, yeah, I want to hear them talk about the terrible things they've done. That'll be fun.
Sure. So the first one would be Doom, because I think he would make it interesting, and you know that the production would be over the top.
Now, really quick too, I just thought of this added part. Give us the name of the documentaries too, if you can come
Oh,
up with
come
them.
on. I need time to think about that. I don't know. Second would be Loki, um, just because he's gonna make it sound way crazier than whatever it was, and I love his theatrics. So third is kind of the wild card, and that's gonna be Condiment King. Um,
Nice.
just because I feel like you need a wacky one in there, and we need to know why he's still being a supervillain. He
Yeah.
must have a reason. And finally, also because it'd be fun, would be Dr. Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog. He's kind of up there with like Doom and Loki. He likes the theatrics. He would make himself sound like, whatever he's doing is for the greater good.
The greater good.
Right. And yeah, what about you, man?
So I'd go Lex Luthor. That's the first one that comes to mind because he 100%. It's like you killed that bus full of kids, and he'll have like the perfect explanation why he did it, and you'd be like, okay, that checks out.
Right.
And then I think like Cleus Cassidy. That's right up there with the DC sniper guy, where it's like, oh yeah, you're just a psychopath. This will be interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think it'd be funny for like Galactus. Just be like, I was just really hungry.
And that's the whole thing.
Yeah, he's like, I am. Have you guys ever just been like, I need something to eat? And then you wipe out a whole civilization? No, just me? Okay. And then, I mean, we kind of get this in Starman, but The Shade, documentary about him, just his life, career,
I
and
would
all that
love
stuff.
that.
Yeah, that one would just be like these other ones they're psychopaths. He's like a gentleman thief.
He is, and we already know that his journal is great. So
Yeah, it's like the best-selling journal comes. The documentary.
all right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of the episode. So let's do our plugs. Guys, if you would, please go to facebook.com/twoworldspodcast and give the page a like. You can also find us on Twitter at 2_worlds_PC and on Instagram at 2worldspod. You can also email us at 2worldspodcast@gmail.com. And please also go to our YouTube, like and subscribe, get those notifications on for new episodes. Just help out the old algorithm.
Yeah, comment what the titles of each of our supervillain documentaries should be.
Yes, we definitely want to know.
Punnier the better.
And then lastly, if you would, please like and review us 5 stars wherever you're listening to this.
And we'd love to stay in chat, but we've got to frolic through the field or something. It's been a day or two since I've seen Jimmy Neutron. Bye, guys.
Bye.